I know I hit rock bottom. I'd lost my house. I was living in my truck. And honestly, I do believe that if it wasn't for them hardships, I wouldn't have dusted myself off and said, you know what, either give up or move, you know. So yeah, I do believe that has a lot.
And this is the real story of entrepreneurship.
Right.
Well, to me, this is primarily for our team. So what I like to say to my team first is, one, I hope you're listening to these because I think these are impactful conversations. And two, the purpose of today's meeting is so you guys can get to know John of JMS Masonry. And so you get to know some of the work that we've done with John, absolutely. Some of the work that, I was just telling John, we have 3 primary companies here. We have an accounting business, a tax business, and a payroll business. And within the accounting business, we have a department where we provide advisory services to small businesses. It's a very small department. I think 3 or 4 of the 26 people that work here spend any time inside of this department. It's my favorite one, selfishly so. It's the one I'm most excited about. It's also the one I think lives out JBS's mission the best. Right, of empowering small business owners and creating economic stimulus inside of our communities. Right. By providing jobs, by providing real estate assets, by helping people build wealth. So I want
knowledge to build wealth.
That's typically the barrier.
Oh, 100%.
If you'd like, I can tell you a little bit about what got me into the advisory business in the first place. But the goal here is for the team to see what we do here outside of tax returns, outside of processing payroll.
I could tell you, so with JMS, before I had met this team, my whole thing would be I'd have a box of receipts, I'd be counting them, didn't know how to move forward past that. And when I met you, you showed me the confidence to move forward. I never had that with anyone else, and that's where I'd fail in business every time because I was archway masonry before that. And it would always lead to me owing money. And when I met you, JBS, it just gave me the confidence to move forward, and you've seen what the business has done in 2 years. It's incredible. So I think given confidence is what you do, helps companies, small companies that are a box and receipts type of company move forward, and gives them the confidence to grow. And that's exactly what you've done for us.
That's awesome, man. That's good to hear. Here I am thinking all I'm doing is providing knowledge of analyzing financial reports.
No, way more.
I had no idea that this was more of a confidence builder than anything else.
I know sometimes we can lean on you a little bit too much, but it's more of it's got that way now where I would always reach out to you to double check, and honesty is always the best thing, as we were speaking in the office earlier, is you're direct. So if I ask you a question, maybe I want a different answer, but you'll be like, no, that's not happening. And I need to hear that, because otherwise I'll be out driving a gold dump truck. What I mean? And not be able to pay my guys. But, I think for any business to work, they need a team like JBS to help us, to help them move forward.
I think what you described, I've always learned as accountability.
Accountability,
so it's
100%.
This is a problem with a lot of business owners.
Yes.
No one's holding you accountable anymore.
Yes, exactly.
So unless you have it in you, which is a very difficult thing to do, especially consistency, to hold yourself accountable all the time, is who's your sounding board?
Right, exactly. And the thing is that a lot of people, a lot of companies don't understand that, this is the business side of things. Essentially I'm a salesman. I bring in the work. But when that money comes in, it's knowing where to put it, A lot of people don't know how to do that, and that's why they fail. So we were so lucky to meet you guys, because believe me, I wouldn't have been able to make them decisions. I was born with a trowel. I build walls. I never really went to school. I got taken out of school young, as we had spoke about. And thankfully we did meet you. And now look what's happened with the business. It's growing so fast. To hear that.
Let's talk about the history. So John, you're a mason.
Yes.
Very skilled mason.
Yes.
How long have you been a mason?
I was carrying the HOD, which is, you know, load of brick on your shoulder when I was 13, even younger maybe. I got pulled out of school, as you know. It was a pretty rough school, and I was just brought up in a building site. It was where we came from, which is every child that had kind of nowhere to go. You know, we grew up in the flats. You'd be pulled to work, keep you out of trouble or whatever. And it was the best. At the time, I hated it. But my father and all his brothers were Masons, so like, give me a kick in the back and say, get to work. You know, and it put me in a good place when I got older. It helped me a lot with, you know, my work ethic.
And we're talking Ireland, right? Northern.
I left Ireland when I was 7. I think I was 6, and I grew up in North London. Until I was 18. And I went through my college there and stuff like that. Came here, worked for someone for like 6 years, and then I just tried to do my own work. But as I was saying earlier, it was the very same. I'd great at getting jobs, but didn't know how to use the money.
And you know, when we met in 2021, you had been a Mason for a while, a subcontractor for a while.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I was. I was way smaller, but I had like 2 guys with me, and I was paying them cash. I didn't know how. You know, it was looking back now to where we are now. It was so cloudy. You know.
I think that's what most entrepreneurs find themselves in.
Yeah, it was just, I didn't know. I was great all the way up to tax season. As soon as tax season hit, I was like, oh my, you know, what am I going to do? Take my watch off here, Saturday, you know? So yeah, it was, that's the way it was. And it always was that way growing up, you know. My father had some tax problems growing up. I had said that to you earlier. And that was one thing I had remembered growing up was, you know, you have to keep the paperwork side of it.
We're being honest. So, you know, I want to talk a little bit about the timeline. On January 12th, 2021, we incorporated, we created JMS Masonry and Restoration, LLC. Right? That was when you finally started this new business. You wanted to start fresh. Commercial contracts primarily. And then we worked together for a while. You know, we did the bookkeeping for JMS. We did the tax returns. For 2.5 years before we engaged in further services. And then it was in June of 2023 where we had the first conversation about CFO services. So what would it look like if I outsourced this role in the company that's called a chief financial officer to worry about the money? And I remember thinking and talking to Matt about the biggest reason why John would hire a CFO right now is because he's worried about falling into tax consequences.
Absolutely.
And I thought to myself, why is he so worried about that? You know, everyone's worried about that, but he's particularly worried. And it was because of your dad.
It was because, you know, my father had done so well with business. But, you know, I'm one of them people that if there's something that's very important, my ear will pick it up anyways, and it will store it, you know, like everything else I kind of goes past me. But I remember that he was doing big buildings, he was flying it, but my father came from that school of, you know, that era of men that, you know, didn't worry about that. They had their money in their top pocket, they had their money, you know, their wealth was what they could pull out of their pocket.
Here, babe, pay the bills.
You know, there's 50 for the food for the week, and that's just the way it was back then. But when that problem came with the taxes, it put such a big weight on our family. You know, it was like, well, how are we going to do this now? You know, the breadwinner mightn't be around. You know, because it wasn't something he was doing purposely. It was just the way. I mean, millions of men had done it, and I was like, right, I had tax debt at the time before I had met you. And I knew for me to grow. For JMS to grow, I would have to, you know, grab it by the reins and figure out how to, you know, move forward without that problem.
So you took a big leap of faith. You hired us around Q3 of 2023 to be your CFO, your outsourced CFO. We didn't tell you this at the time, but we have a systematic method about how we approach this sort of stuff. So we had 3 goals in mind. Pay our back taxes, which to our knowledge before, we didn't know that you didn't know many back taxes. So we found back taxes back to 2014, 10 years.
Okay,
so that was priority number 1. Priority number 2 was this business keeps doing 600,000 give or take in gross revenue every year.
Yes.
But it doesn't have a lot of money.
Right.
Doesn't
I
have a
get
lot of
you.
money in the bank.
Yes.
So it was, build up our reserves.
Yes.
You could do that 2 ways. You could increase revenue. You could decrease expenses.
Money management.
Yep.
Yeah.
We focused on increasing revenue.
Right.
Happy that worked out well.
Yes.
And then it was build John's assets.
Right.
Right? Because you've been working for so long.
Yes.
And like a lot of people, it doesn't matter how much you earn, it matters how much you keep.
Right.
And a lot of people just aren't taught on how to keep money.
That's it. That is exactly where our problem, and that problem has been around from as long as I can remember handling money.
Yeah.
So, I knew when we started working together, there was going to be a time when that would be exposed in the office, where you would look at me, because you're very straight, true. You would say, hey, there's something wrong here. This is not right, because I'd be hiding from it. I didn't want to face it. The best thing that ever happened was, it getting brought up, and you have to deal with this, So.
Gene took power of attorney.
Yeah,
I said,
it
Gene,
just
show me everything.
Yeah, I was so nervous.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is like anyone listening or whoever will see this, you have to get over that fear of walking in the door. And this way, like a podcast or whatever, this helps so much, because believe me, 90% of people are just regular people. They just go to work every day, come home. They don't understand, and I still don't. Thank God I'm still with you. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's great to have the confidence that, hey, I've got a team behind me.
Yep.
They're making sure I'm good.
Yep.
And believe me, it's so worth. Not giving you a big boost up, but come in and say hello to this company, because it's helped me so much.
For me, I know you see it as a big one way, like I'm getting a lot of benefit,
Right.
and I'm paying a fee, and the fee seems well worth it. But this is such a mutually accountable practice, because in order for our business to do well, long term,
Yes.
we don't need to just sit here and say, John, it's a good idea for you to pay us this much per month.
Right.
We then every month have to ensure that we're providing value.
Right. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And the moment we stop providing value,
Yes.
my assumption is, well, the client's going to let us go.
Right. Well, I mean, we talk sometimes twice a week.
Yep.
Sometimes 3.
Yep.
So there is no time for sitting down and being lazy,
Right.
because that ball is always rolling. Yep. So we know that there's questions coming. We have to make sure that everything's in order in our office from when we speak to you. So you're always kept on your toes, which is great.
It's a killer level of accountability. I haven't thought about this this much.
It is. It's keeps you honest.
So I've been an advisor. I've been providing financial advice to people for 10 years in about 2 weeks.
Right.
It'll be a 10-year anniversary.
Wow.
And to me, I've always thought of advice as very simple. Keep delivering value.
Right.
There always has to be something that we need to grow upon.
Right.
There's no such thing as, hey, we did it,
Right.
now you're all set.
It keeps going.
Because that's retirement.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
right,
That's what
we
it
did
is.
it, now you're all set. Okay, great. So if we did it well, that means you have about $4 or $5 million that we need to manage and ensure lasts your lifetime.
Right. Absolutely.
So the job's only getting started.
Yeah. The world keeps going. Your money doesn't stop either. So yeah.
I'll tell you a little bit about what got me into the advisory business. But before I do that, I'll tell you one of the biggest problems I have with the industry.
Okay.
This mutual benefit that we're incurring, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But it makes a lot of sense to us relative to how much money each of us are earning.
Right.
So, I think right now JMS represents something like 2.7% of JBS's revenue.
Okay.
It's meaningful for one client.
Right.
I think right now JBS's fees represent something like 3% of your gross revenues.
Right.
That's manageable.
Right.
And what happens is, in my experience, is people who don't have a decent amount of money, they can afford advisory services.
Right.
Because we know what's in it for them.
Right, I get you. Yeah.
But how could they compensate the advisor properly?
Which I think is it's kind of scary when you hear it that way, because if you are looking for an advisory company, and you haven't got means to get in the door with the money, well, that's a problem in itself. It's a scary, because you might just turn around and go the other way and just keep living the way you are.
Sure. One of the benefits about this company here, we have our corporate accounts division, and the advisory lives in there. But in that, we also have our bookkeeping business,
It's all
which is
in
what
one.
you were in from 2021 to
Right.
2023.
Right.
So for 10% of the cost every year, You were getting your books in order.
Oh, it
right.
was
We were
amazing.
getting a tax
Yeah.
return, and
It
what
was
it
all
showed,
in-house, everything.
Of course, yeah.
So, and that's what was the best thing, is that I could walk in one door and everything I need is there,
Yep.
which is so important, you know.
And you know what it allows us to do is it allows us to pay attention to two things.
Right.
The business owners that are serious about this,
Right.
because there's a whole
Oh,
slew
of
of business
course.
owners that want to
Yeah.
be owners, but they're
Yes.
not really.
Right.
And then the businesses
Right.
that have legs.
Right.
Because you could be a great owner, but you could just be running a bad business. Like
Yes.
Froyo, for example.
Yes.
Frozen yogurt tanked.
Right.
A lot of great business owners went into that business.
Right.
Business tanked.
Yes.
So what it allows us, by having hundreds of bookkeeping clients
Right.
and 6 current advisory clients,
Right.
it allows us to see of the hundreds, which ones have legs, with
Right.
the right leadership
Yeah.
in place,
I get you.
so that we can offer advisory
Right.
services.
Understood. Yeah.
Because, all businesses need time to grow.
Oh, they do, and they need to find their legs.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. Yeah, it's your team is unbelievable. And I'm not just saying this because you're here. I'm saying it because it's the truth. You know, because I wouldn't be sitting here with a mic in my face if it wasn't. You have. There's nothing more for you to. I mean, obviously there is in business, but
Yeah.
as in the way you treat your clients, in the way you make us feel confident. Because believe me, I am not a confident person. I might be when I meet a customer and I can point at this and do that, but I don't have confidence. Never did since I was young. So to have you guys there gives me confidence. You know, it's a great feeling if I have a question, you know, we now have lawyers because of you. We have this because of you. I nearly feel important walking around the place, you know. But
I say you're pretty important.
But it's a great feeling to have. It nearly gives you confidence in the way that if someone was trying to mess with you, even on
Yep.
it, rip you off or whatever
Yep.
it be, you have the confidence to say, no, well, let me speak to my advisors.
Yep.
And it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. We just sued someone on behalf of a client, another advisory client.
was that the one you were telling me about before? Yeah.
And we just took a settlement last week, and it's $178,000.
Wow.
She was going to let it go.
Wow.
She was just going to say,
Yeah,
you know
see,
what?
that's what I
They're too
mean.
big.
That's what
They
I
screwed
mean.
me over. What am I going to do?
That is the best example. I mean, that would be me.
Yep.
I'd be like, you know what? I'll get it over here. I'll figure a way out. That's why you're here. It's perfect.
That's cool. We keep coming back to that confidence.
Yeah.
So speaking of confidence, I'll tell you why I decided to study accounting,
Right.
why I changed my major to finance, and why I went into financial
Right.
advisory. So the accounting one is simple. At 16, I got a job with JBS.
Right.
I thought this is pretty cool. I see my older brother making a decent amount of money.
Right.
I
Family
think
business.
family
following.
business.
Yeah.
I think productivity is addictive.
Right.
So
Yeah.
being inside of the tax season,
Yes.
seeing hundreds of people a
Yes,
day,
yes.
coming from high school,
Yes. Just
driving
crazy.
and just seeing the
Oh,
money
absolutely.
transactions,
Yeah.
the people's satisfaction.
Yeah.
I just thought this is a pretty cool business.
Fast movement.
At the time, my stepfather had been in the business for a little over 20 years. So I thought tax is
Right.
pretty cool.
Right.
Chose accounting.
Yeah. You probably knew a lot coming into it that you didn't think you knew anyways, you know? Like, right.
more.
Yeah.
So I feel like going into college, I knew more practical skills as it relates to entrepreneurship and accounting. But it was because my dad was an entrepreneur.
Right.
My mom was an entrepreneur.
Right.
My stepdad was
It's
an
in your
entrepreneur.
blood.
My brother.
Yeah.
It's even if it wasn't in my blood, it's all I saw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great way.
And it was exciting.
Yeah.
And I think I got lucky. My brother's 9 years older than me, so
I think the words you just said there has a lot to it. It was exciting.
yep.
You know, you need that bit of fire under you to enjoy something, don't you? You
Yep.
know?
And I honestly think it's pure bullshit, timing, and luck.
Really? You're right.
So here's why. My brother's 9 years older than me.
Right.
Which means when I was 1, he was 10.
Right.
And when I was 10, he was 19.
Okay.
So even though we grew up in the same household, we led very different lives.
Yes.
Raised by a very different mother.
Okay.
Because my mother was 9 years older.
Right.
when she had me.
Yes.
What that means is most of her entrepreneurship crashes.
Right.
She's had a couple.
Right.
They happened when my brother was young and developing,
Yes.
and I wasn't even born yet.
Right. Okay.
So I didn't see that.
So that was hardship that molded certain people.
Yep. I think it just changed who we became
Okay.
over time.
Okay.
So I
In a
saw a
good way?
little bit of
In a
it.
good way,
Always.
obviously.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only way you should take it.
That's
I
the
think,
only way, yeah.
Because
To
you have
learn.
no control over it.
Yes.
So anything that happens to you, you should try to see
As a positive.
the good way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I remember being like 3, and we lost our apartment because my mom,
Yes.
this business had failed.
Which is tough.
I didn't know this at the time.
Yeah.
I was just
As a mother, could you imagine how scary that is?
as a father now,
God.
I couldn't even imagine.
Wow. Yeah.
But I was just told, hey, we're gonna go live at cousin's house for a little bit.
Yeah. It was
You
all the
guys
same.
are.
Yes. Right.
Me and this is my mom.
Yes.
So me and your sister, we're gonna
Right.
go live with grandma for a while.
Right.
And I thought, wait, I get to stay at my cousin's house
Yeah, of course.
overnight,
Of
over and
course.
over again.
Yeah.
And that was the extent of my exposure to our
Right,
business
right,
failures.
right.
My brother knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, and that was probably so scary for him as well as a young
12,
child. Yeah.
going through puberty.
And that's the age where you're picking things up and
So that was one reason
Right.
I went into advisory, because I learned all this later in life, especially talking to my brother and my mom.
Right.
And I realized, same with my dad, but I wasn't as close. I realized these individuals did pretty well for themselves.
Right.
My mom did, my dad did, especially coming
When you
from where
hit
they
rock
come from.
bottom, I don't know if that's a good word to use. I know I hit rock bottom. I'd lost my house. I was living in my truck. And honestly, I do believe that if it wasn't for them hardships,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have dusted myself off and said, you know what, either give up or move.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I do believe that has a lot to do.
And this is the real story of entrepreneurship.
Right.
This is what it looks
Right.
like.
Really, right.
And I thought to myself,
Yeah.
they're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Imagine how much better they could be doing
Right.
if they had a trusted advisor by their side.
Yes, absolutely.
For some reason, I kept thinking that.
That's it, though. That's what it's about. It's about putting the right people. Like you come into ours, you know, JBS come into ours. It's about putting the right people there. So you could be the smartest guy in the world, but you might need that other,
Sure.
you know, next.
And you're the smartest guy in the world. That means you know one thing really, really
Right,
well.
right.
But what about everything else?
Exactly. To push forward.
Yep.
You know.
So that is who I was interested in becoming.
Yeah.
And the trusted advisor.
Right.
That my parents,
Yes.
that my brother didn't
Yes.
seem to have.
Right. I get you. Yeah.
And that's what I really started the internship as like, well, it's an internship on my resume.
Right. Right.
So worst case.
But isn't it great though that you've seen that? You know, how old were you when you kind of realized that's where you needed to go to be?
18.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's great to have that, you know, vision.
Again, pure luck.
Right.
With the education I received.
Man, I need to buy a lottery ticket with you. There's a lot going on.
I think that's life. I mean, so
I don't know. I think it's a lot of it's hard work.
So they,
as well.
what do they say? They say when hard work meets preparation, we call it luck.
There,
So-
right.
But you know, luck in the sense of like
Right.
you don't get to control the parents that you're born to.
Right,
You don't
there
get to
you go.
control
That's
the
true.
IQ that you
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
You don't get to control as a child
Right.
the education you receive.
Right.
You know, so all luck.
Yeah, I mean,
And if you heard, we don't have time today, but if
Yeah.
I told you the full story of how I ended up in like my middle school,
Right.
that then got me to my high school, that then got me to my college,
Right.
you'd be like, it's a fluke.
really,
Yep.
yeah,
Total
that's
fluke.
crazy. Yeah, I think a lot of it, my work, you know, I get my drive from my mother and my father. They're, you know, when we had, because I wasn't really in school, you know, it was pretty rough. But when I was 13 or 14, you buy your own clothes. You know, you know, that was it.
Yeah.
You know, you want to
You're on your own.
You're gonna go.
Be a man.
That's it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm wearing the LA Gears with the glass air bubbles. I was like, what the hell's going on here? You know what I mean? But yeah, so I think I got a lot of that from my upbringing, my mother and father. you know,
Right.
So, as did your family, you know.
The scary thing as a dad now, we were just talking about that second generation, third
Yes.
generation. So, you know, fortunately my kids know my mother, but my mother's successful now in their eyes. It's like, oh, she just flew in from Miami. She's going to drop off some gifts.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you, my real estate guy.
Yeah.
He had heard of your family.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, they're fairly, you know, well-known family
Yeah, yeah.
for what you do,
Yeah.
which is brilliant.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's all mom.
Right.
That's all
You're
because
telling
of
me that.
her.
I mean, she's the rock, right? Yeah.
And she's the reputation. you
Yeah,
know,
very
she's-
much like my mother, same thing. Yeah. Get a lot from her. You know.
It's amazing.
Yeah. They went through struggles. We didn't have to. That's the way I look at them things.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And then that's a gift and a curse in my
Right,
opinion.
right.
So now I'm almost having to think about, I know this is a little off topic, but now I'm thinking about what sort of, for lack of better terms, artificial struggles am I going to create for my kids?
Right.
Because if there's no struggle,
Right.
There's no growth.
That's a struggle in itself then, right?
Yeah.
when there's no growth. Yeah, I get you.
And I'm working on that.
Yeah.
And my kids are
Man,
3.
you think way ahead. That's great.
I've been doing planning for 10 years.
Wow.
You build habits.
Yes,
right?
of course.
So
And it's out of love.
It's
right?
out, of
out
course.
love. Right.
Well, it's
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of wanting the best for them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And when I do,
I know you will.
I'll let
I can
everybody
see it,
else
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Transitioning to JMS. So
Right.
performance since 2023.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll share some top
Oh,
line
absolutely.
revenues.
Go for it. Yeah.
So top line revenue, and I'm just going to talk January through August because it's September 17th today.
Sure.
So we know January through August 24. We can see the same data for 23, 22. So this is 8 months worth of activity.
Right.
In 2021, first 8 months in business, you did 334,000 in revenue. Right. That's a phenomenal year one.
We're not bad. Yeah.
But all that says to me is you already had this business before.
Right.
It just wasn't organized into an LLC.
100%.
So that's LLC's first 8 months.
Right.
The 8 months spanning from January through August, 627,000 revenue.
Right.
Okay, almost double.
Yeah, growing. Yeah.
We were just doing the bookkeeping. We talked maybe once a year.
Right.
January through August 2023, 693
Right.
in revenue. So almost flat, 10% increase. I could see the diversity of your jobs got much more complicated.
Yes, got
I
bigger.
could also see your crews grew much larger.
Yes.
Believe it or not, your profit in 23 was lower than 22.
Right.
I see that as investment.
A growing year.
So-
yeah.
One reason I want to speak to your strength and your ability to grow this business is because you did all this before we really got involved.
Well, that's what I was getting back to earlier is, I knew how to get to that point.
Yeah.
But then after that, I crumbled because I had to learn how to numbers and, and thank God that we did, because it would have went the same way again.
At this point, now you're managing. I think about this in terms of how people manage money.
Right.
The majority of Americans manage a budget between 30 and 125,000 a year.
Right.
And we all know that's hard.
That's hard. Yeah, that's very hard.
So when you're managing a budget of 700,000,
Yes.
that's about 6 times as hard
Right,
as
right.
managing a $120,000 budget.
You need more eyes in it, more hands in it.
More transactions, more people to pay.
Yeah.
It can get out of hand very
Oh,
quick.
it can, yeah. And that's what happened with me is I just didn't. The reason I owed taxes before, you took over is because I didn't know how to manage it. I had no idea, you know.
And revenue doesn't mean cash on hand.
No. it doesn't.
Revenue means it came in,
Yeah.
but now I got to pay my 7 guys for doing the job,
yeah.
and then
Pay
I have to pay
myself.
insurance. And we need a new truck because we keep
Exactly.
borrowing the same truck.
Yeah.
So it's like you just got to pump it right back
Oh,
in.
absolutely. That's why, as you see, I don't ever really pull from the account. I don't, because I don't look at it as my money. It's the company's money. And but I'm smart enough to know now that if you start dipping into it, it will create problems.
Yeah. Cash flow.
Oh, absolutely. And we haven't had that for a while. I remember we had a conversation a couple of years ago now, and was it a couple of years ago? You were like, guys, we got to get the cash up because we kept dipping, and it was dipping low, way too low.
Yep.
So we got that by the horns, and we took care
Well,
of it.
you know what happens to people when it dips too low and they can't take care of it organically? They do so inorganically via debt.
Via debt, is
So
right.
they take debt on.
Yeah.
And debt is a very powerful tool.
And it's good for a couple of weeks until you have to pay it back.
And to me, it's good for a couple of reasons.
Right.
And people just tend to use it
Right.
outside of those reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reasons are simple.
Yeah.
We're leveraging debt because we can't afford to buy an asset
Right.
that if we had,
Yes.
we could become more productive.
Yes.
So think about real estate acquisition.
Absolutely.
Or we need it to be able to finance future cash flows
Right.
that we believe the business is guaranteed to bring in.
Right.
But for example, we have a $500,000 job and we're getting paid 400,000 of that 60 days out. Well, we still need to cover our bills today.
Absolutely.
But we do know that 400K is coming in.
Yes.
That's a good place for that.
It is. Yeah. I mean, we've had it where we've been down low in the account, but we were owed 600,000.
Right?
But that doesn't matter because it's not in the account. So cash flow.
You can't pay bills on receivables.
Exactly. So once he entered the picture, we start. Paddy in the office is great, but we started learning. We had to pull in our invoices closer together, so cash flow is coming in faster.
Yeah.
We learned how to kind of balance it where we don't worry about wages anymore, which is brilliant.
Excellent.
I mean, we do, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone should, but
But it's getting paid. You're not worried. that
we're
it's
not
gonna get
worried.
paid.
It's always there, and there's always a constant flow of cash.
Yep.
Whereas before I'd be running around trying to get a job going because we got payday on Friday and we have no money in the account. And this is why I say people worrying to come in the front door, because you would be so surprised the amount of people they have fancy trucks and they've got, they look the part, but inside they're in rough shape. Yeah, broke. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I've talked to about 3,000 people over the last 10 years.
Right, there you go.
The majority.
Majority of them
are broke.
Yeah. So kind of where we were, even though we had the coming in before we had met you, we might as well have had nothing in the account because we didn't know how to operate with this. So yeah, once we did learn how to kind of balance our numbers, we could approach a $1 million job. It's crazy because now the jobs we're looking at are $1 million, 1.2.
Yep.
It's everything comes up together.
Right.
It's funny how it works.
It makes sense though.
Yeah.
Think about, there are $1 million jobs out there.
Yes.
So think about who qualifies for those.
Exactly.
Well, businesses with reputation who are organized.
Right. And have worked with numbers like that before.
Yep.
Because you've got to slowly come up. We started off chimneys, 30,000.
Yeah.
Then 20,000, 100,000. But it's good to show the numbers to, say, clients that ask for them.
Of course.
Because they see that you've worked with them numbers before.
And you have a reputation. You can show them a portfolio of jobs that you've done.
Yes.
And that's probably why they find you to begin with.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I mean, we had a good name, but just having a good name through, word of mouth will never get you over the, you need to advertise it, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the 5 things that we have really been, I've been auditing in preparation for this call.
Sure.
Thinking about the 5 things I think we've done really well at JMS.
Okay.
Then we'll speak to financial performance this year.
Sure.
And then talk a little bit about some of the goals that you've accomplished way faster than we thought you could.
Okay.
And that's on you, not us, right? You did that. So the things we came in and did, we organized a sales pipeline.
Yep.
Right? Thinking of things like how are we getting term payments on our invoices?
Right.
Getting much stricter about 33% upfront, 33% halfway, 34% upon completion. Predictable cash flow is probably one of the best things accounting infrastructure does for a business.
Yes.
So first we needed to create predictability in what's coming in.
Yeah.
Then we noticed, because we had 4 years of data for you, the pricing's off a little bit.
Right.
And I find this happens in most businesses.
Yes, we're always low,
So you guys, everyone prices a little bit different.
Right.
We can ask 100 entrepreneurs how they price, we'll get 100 answers.
Absolutely.
Your answer initially was, well, we look at the labor cost, and that's an estimate, but we're good at that.
Yes.
We've done a lot of these.
Right.
We look at the hard material estimated cost. And then, we take that number and we double it, triple it, whatever we feel like is necessary.
What's a fair profit?
And that's actually a really sophisticated pricing model.
Right.
What I realized is the one thing we forgot to account for is profit.
Right, that's true. That's all it was keeping the bike running.
Yep.
It was keeping the wheels turning.
Yep.
But it was no growth.
Right.
So
we made a couple iterations to that, and then I built you a pricing tool designed for like 5 different size jobs.
It's amazing, yeah.
And we basically said,
yeah,
put in what you believe the labor cost would be.
Yeah.
Put in what you believe the hard cost would be.
Yeah, it was.
Then I implemented a target profit margin.
Yeah.
And that margin was smaller on larger jobs, and bigger on smaller jobs, right? We want the business wants to make money too.
Yeah. Well, it was honest. It kept us honest,
right?
Because when we typed in the numbers, sometimes we would get a job just to get the job.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do this. They're not thinking about profit. They're thinking about, well, just get the job in. Yeah. It's work, keeps the guys going.
We'll make the money.
But when we put our numbers in your basic calculator, I call it, it told you how much. We were off by 60 grand on some jobs.
Right. And that's the profit.
And I was like, wow, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and we still use that, but we use that a lot for the bigger jobs.
Sure.
Because it's more important, right? The smaller job, 20 grand job, we kind of know what it is.
It's easy. Same with budgeting.
Exactly.
If you're given $1,000 to budget, it's much easier than if you're given 100,000.
Million, exactly.
So we did that fairly well, I think. We came in and helped manage employee relations, compensation, right? Put you guys on salary,
Yes.
standardized direct
Which was brilliant.
deposits.
Salary was the best.
People
thing
aren't
ever
worried
happened.
about, is my money coming in now?
It kept us, I keep saying it, but it kept us honest.
Yeah.
So when you have my wages come into my bank every Friday, I'm not out spending crazy.
Yeah.
I know, well, that's what's there. You know, I've got my credit cards, but that's what's there.
That's the budget.
That's the budget.
And it's a budget we set on ourselves.
Yes.
That we could move up and down. And we have moved up and down.
Yeah.
Depending
yeah,
on what the business has been doing.
Yeah. Yep.
We came in automated payments to vendors, contractors, employees.
Right.
Now we don't have to worry about people holding on to paper checks for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden hitting our account for $8,000.
Everything goes out on a Friday or a Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone gets paid direct deposit. Easy to manage.
Which is easy tracking.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then, one of the last things we did in combination partnership with City on the Hill Consulting is we enhanced your sales and marketing strategy.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that has led to a lot more qualified leads.
Yeah.
And I think that over the next 12 months,
Yes.
we'll start to see some of that transition into.
I think so. I can see it happening already.
Yeah.
So with City on the Hill, we're already seeing the jobs coming through. Not so much calls.
Right.
Because most people nowadays, it's all email.
That's why qualified leads, as opposed to just leads.
Just leads.
Anybody can get a lead of someone that you don't want to work with.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, actually, I have to ring someone. They sent an email last night. But it's everything is coming up evenly now.
Yep.
And across the board, everything looks even. But yeah, City on the Hill is doing such an amazing job, and everything, advertising, Instagram, Facebook, I couldn't be happier with
That's awesome.
with Alex.
And we need that sales and marketing infrastructure
To keep the business going.
and to go to the next level.
Yeah, I want to go up. So I love big jobs.
Yep.
I find them easier to handle.
Sure.
The way we have it is we have crews, as we had spoke, and it's easier. So if you have 100 men in front of you, you have to watch, and it's impossible.
Yeah.
But if you have crews of 5 spread out,
Yep.
3 men can manage 100 men very easy, or 4, whatever it is, because now it's smaller numbers.
20 crews.
There you go, or whatever it is, the small crews. But that's what I love, and it's probably easier for you, I'd imagine, because you see it's a longer job showing the same thing.
Absolutely.
Would I be right in saying that?
I feel the same way. It's
Right.
much easier for me to work with a client like JMS.
Right.
We're talking multiple times a week.
Yes.
I have a weekly sense of the cash flows of the business.
Exactly.
I understand all the people involved in the business.
Exactly.
All the technologies involved.
Yes.
All the assets involved.
Yes.
So I can just give better advice.
Yeah, exactly.
When someone's coming to me one time a year asking
it's
me,
tough.
hey, can you give me advice on this? It's
Yeah,
like, there's so many variables that I don't
know you, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, I think JMS is only now learning who they are themselves.
Sure.
We're kind of, some days me and Paddy would look at each other and we'd be kind of, wow, this is kind of scary. Not scary in the way that we don't want to move forward.
Yeah.
But how fast we're moving, because we really are, probably buying a building in the next year or two.
Yeah.
Whenever
So let's talk about recent successes.
Sure.
So January through August, we did just under 700K in revenue
Right.
of 2023.
Right.
January through August of 2024, we did 1.4 mil.
Right.
So revenue doubled.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
exciting.
Just keep doubling it.
Revenue doubled. The money our subcontractors were making doubled.
Yeah.
The money that our staff are making increased by 50%.
Right.
And the best part of all, while revenue doubled, profit tripled.
Brilliant. That's
That was the missing component of the profit margin in the pricing tool.
Right. Yeah.
And
I thought it slowed down because of that, but it got fat. It got fast.
it got bigger.
Which kind of got me off guard. Yeah.
Pricing, we could have a whole separate discussion about pricing. It's such an art. It's such a very interesting
Fine. Yeah.
But looking at that year, what we've also been able to accomplish in that year is all of your tax debt is caught up to this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tax debt's gone.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
Revenues, profits triple.
Yeah.
You just bought your first house
Yes.
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Can't believe it. Yeah. I'm so happy.
Put a 20%
Thank
down
God.
payment.
20%
conventional loan.
Yeah.
So
I tell
building
ya.
the assets
Yeah.
now outside of the business.
Yeah.
What an incredible feat.
Like that is, when you put it like that, it's such a small time for
Yeah.
that to happen is
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, this is what happens. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes they say it takes 10 years to have that 1 year that
Right,
changes everything.
right.
Not everything happened in this 1 year.
Right, it's consistent.
It was all building up.
Yeah,
This is how
yeah.
growth, you know, people unfortunately like to think in terms of linear growth.
Right.
If I'm on step 1, then
Yes.
I go to step 2,
Yes.
step 3. But that's not how growth works in the
No,
real
no,
world.
it's very slow.
You go from 2 to 2.5
Yeah.
to 2.8 to 5.
100%. I think that, and this is the way I like to move forward with the businesses. I like to think of the business in 30 years, not
Yep.
so, and instead of 5 years with driving a, you know, using wealth.
Yeah.
You know, I'd prefer it to be consistent over 30 years, and instead of trying to make 10
You prefer
million in 5
JMS
years.
Masonry, a well-known established firm in Boston,
Yes.
30 years from now,
Exactly.
as opposed to a Porsche 911.
100%. Yeah. So the thing is with me is, I prefer to build our, you know, our product.
Yeah.
So our name, our banners, our, you know, our brand.
Yeah.
Because over say 10 years, you might have that. You might have that built.
Right.
But keeping that moving, keeping that, you know, that same drive in the company, you can dip fast.
That's a big responsibility.
Yeah. It's you know.
Warren Buffett says it takes 30 years to build a reputation and 30 seconds to destroy.
And that is the truest facts ever. And that's why, you know, you've seen me, I've called you over advice. I'd see things that would, you know, annoy me.
Yeah.
With employees or
Yeah,
whatever. And if I wasn't able to see them things, you know, just from experience of being on a building site and experience of dealing with people, I wouldn't be able to, my business would fold, because it's the little things that you don't, you know, that you might notice that could fold a business, like laziness, people not doing their job. So it's hard work and it's consistent work.
And like every destructive nature of any sort of aspect of life,
Yeah.
it's the things that you don't see coming.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that you have to be prepped for.
Right.
You know, it was funny. I was telling you the other day, there was this homeless guy or whatever it was. There was 2 of them, and I think they were throwing rocks at themselves under the staging.
Yeah,
And
at the site.
they were like, you know, give us money, pay us money, right? And I'm like, pay us money. Paddy went down, you know, big ticket and upset. But you know, little things like that can ruin companies. So it's like you're always on your toes, and in a way, it's a good thing, because you know, same way with taxes, same way with everything. It's about keeping on top of everything business-wise through the whole thing.
And John, you know, first I congratulate you for all the success that you've had.
Oh, thank you.
And wish you
And
for
yours.
much more in the future.
Oh, thank you.
And then I just want to leave off with one big message based on what you said. And I think you're learning it now.
Yep.
I've only learned it because my mentors were on average 25 years older than me.
Right,
so
right.
I just got very lucky in that
Right.
aspect. It's not the thing that's most attractive, I think, to
Right.
me, the thing that draws me to businesses,
Right.
to building businesses, to
Yeah.
helping people build businesses, is not necessarily what the business becomes,
Right.
but who you become in the process.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, your business is who you are, right? In return. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why I love working with CEOs who
Right.
want to grow, who are focused, who have a vision.
Yes.
You know, you said you think of this business in terms of 30 years.
Yeah.
When I was in my financial planning career, I did about 2,500, give or take, financial plans
Okay.
with all sorts of people from
Right.
all walks of life.
Yes.
And what I found is the people who were most successful long term didn't have to do with industry
Right.
or income
Right.
or age.
Right.
The people who were most successful were the people who could envision their financial lives
Right.
as far out as possible.
Yeah, and that's the only way I think. You know, it might work different for some other people, but if you're doing for the long run, you will learn in the years
Yep.
the ups and downs and how to control business.
Yep.
If you have a short window, I believe there's more mistakes.
chaos.
It's chaos.
Yeah, look at the stock
Yeah,
market.
learn it, read it, and just learn to run your business the best you can. And I don't think in my industry, no one's going to learn how to be the best business in 10 years.
Right.
That's not going to happen. I don't care how good you are, you will face problems that you have never seen. But over the space of 30 years, or whatever it may be, you'll learn.
You want to know something funny? So I've been studying the stock market
Right.
for about 10 years.
Right.
Nature of my job. So this is what the stock market, the U.S. stock market, looks
Right.
like over the last 30 days.
Okay.
Right? It's like kind of all over the place.
It is, yes.
Over the last 6 months, you
Right.
know, generally going up.
Yeah.
But a lot. So it started here, it went here.
Right.
But a lot of ebbs and flows along the way. Look at a 5-year period.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's
Much
what I mean.
flatter.
Yeah.
Well, look at the period of the initiation of the S&P 500.
Right.
So this is a 40-year period now,
Yes.
and it's essentially gone straight up.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because you're not looking at if you're closed in it, you're looking at the dip. It's about the long run.
Yeah.
It's about the,
Short-term chaos, long-term growth.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because I've never been hungry for money. That's not my thing. But what I am, what I do crave is to build something that's mine. And if you build something that's good, it will give you money regardless.
Right.
If you build a good business, your money comes with it anyway.
Yeah.
So if you build a business that's not, money's not going to come. So that's my way of looking at it.
Yeah, man. Awesome chat.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.